Hi everybody, welcome back to the Shadow Delusions reading channel. I'm your host and author, Lee Hershkowitz. It's been quite a while since we did a reading. We had a live webcast 2 weeks ago where we discussed one of the characters, Danny Michaels, who is my personal favorite, with my friend Alana Schaefer, and since then there's been quite a number of things that have happened, and I haven't been able to record a video until now. So I'm very excited to read this next chapter with you. It was actually one of my favorite chapters to write. It's chapter 6. This is Ella's chapter, another one of Ella's chapters. So Ella was one of the characters, the first character we were introduced to in the book. And the reason that I love this chapter so much is I think this is the chapter that most resembles my life. Even though I wasn't engaged ever or ever close to being engaged, Ella's engagement period and her dating period is, that was the most similar to my life and my culture of what I put into the book, I think, for the most part. So it was a lot of fun to write and to make up this like fantastical romantic scenario that had, obviously never happened to me. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to reading and sharing and discussing this chapter with you. So if you'd like to follow along, it's on page 49. Okay, clear my throat. And here we go. Ella Sandsberg, Monday, July 28th, 2007. There are many things I could tell you about Aaron Harris. I could say that he was bright and that he had a great smile, and that the career path he had built for himself would take him far in life. I could say that he was one of 8 children, or that his father had one of the largest law firms in New York. I could tell you which yeshivas he went to and which sports he played. I could name the spot where he broke his arm the first time, and where he would later break it again for the 7th time. I could tell you all of these things and more. They are facts, none of which, however, would make any sense to you at this time, though they might eventually. There is only one thing that I could tell you now that wouldn't be a fact or an opinion, but a lie. I can't tell you that I was in love with him. I could try and make it sound as though I was, but I never was. I knew him well. At times I adored him and admired his accomplishments. I stood beside him through many things, but I was never in love with him. Still, for about 3.5 months, Aaron Harris and I were engaged to be married. Isn't that just the strangest thing? We were set up through a friend of mine, Molly Davidson, formerly called the shotgun, or matchmaker. The shotgun was in charge of everything. She's a messenger and a communicator on both ends, as well as a moral support for me. The process of dating is preceded by the process of matching and background checking, which begins with genetic testing, which isn't really the beginning at all. Shall I relieve your mind of confusion? Erase the world of dating as you know it from your mind. Forget everything you know and for a moment put yourself in my world. Aaron and I were set up by a mutual friend. That you already know. Before we met in person, my father looked into his history and Aaron's parents looked into mine. It's all part of the world that we call shidduchim. Instead of casual dating or dating for fun, we date to get married. Our dating periods are very short, 8 weeks tops, so by doing a bit of background check beforehand, you eliminate the time stretch so that you can get down to serious business. If you know everything there is to know about a potential partner's history, his wants and needs and goals in life, before you meet him, you will be able to try to fit yourself together with this person. If he sounds like your type after all the checking is done, then you date. If that works, you get engaged. Because we only date for marriage and never before, religious men and women do not touch the opposite gender at all to save ourselves for our spouses. We are not allowed to have any physical contact with the opposite gender, aside from immediate family. And after marriage, it stays that way, with your husband joining the exception. Keeping ourselves from the rest of the world allows us to build a deep and special bond with just one person, something I always admired and loved about being a religious Jew. Keeping away from the opposite gender made growing up much easier for me. It took the pressure off that I believed other people had. The pressure to date, the pressure to look fabulous to impress a boy, all of that was removed from the mix for me. It gave me the ability to focus on myself, to become comfortable with myself without the need or want of a man to tell me how beautiful I was, to believe in myself. At times, it was hard to believe that there was just one guy out there for me. However, keeping myself out of dating helped me achieve much more. Also, it made me all the more excited to date and settle down. I find it difficult to put our broken engagement in the category of, it just didn't work out between us. That's not how it works. Engagement shouldn't be broken unless something serious happens that would seriously affect your imminent marriage. That was the case with Aaron and me. There was a serious matter that had not been addressed before the marriage and that caused a great deal of stress for both of us and resulted in breaking off our engagement just weeks before the wedding. As much as I would love to blame this on Aaron, it would be unfair to place the origin of all the problems on him. He only did what he believed was right in such a situation. Maybe I shouldn't place all the blame on myself, but it has nowhere else to go besides my shoulders. I had not dated anyone else besides from him, and after him there was no one else either. I was aware that Aaron had dated a few girls before me, including one of my classmates, Hannah Silverman. They had become quite a serious couple, though he ended it abruptly. I was never close with Hannah. We ran in different circles. She was the daughter of our community's rabbi, the jewel and prized possession of our class. Strawberry blonde, exceptionally tall, with just the perfect number of freckles on her face, Hannah was a vision. Everyone envied her. Everyone wanted to be like her, or be her friend, except for me. I was a gawky teenager, never quite fitting in with Hannah and her group of plastic-looking friends. I was the quiet, shy girl who hid in the back of the classroom, the genius everyone hated, even though they didn't know why. Hannah and Aaron began dating about a year after we graduated from high school. She and a group of her friends had returned from their year abroad in Israel, where they attended seminary. They moved back home and began working in several locations around town, including the elementary school that my siblings attended. It was a relief to have them out of Chicago for an entire year, and it pained me to have to smile politely and stop for small talk whenever I saw them around town. Occasionally, Hannah would come into the bookstore searching for new and improved kosher cookbooks. She never spoke to me when she came in, but smiled politely and waved. We had nothing to say to each other, and it was better that way. I had not done a year abroad. I decided early on that I was going to stay home and work full-time, to be home and help my father with the little ones, even though they weren't so little anymore. I had heard through the grapevine that Hannah had begun dating only 2 weeks after she came home. At the time, we were 19, and I was in no way ready to date, and especially not to get married. I had a family to help raise, a bookshop to help run, and a life that I wished to live before I began to look. Obviously, Hannah and Aaron hit it off. Within weeks, everyone around town was buzzing over her growing relationship with the mystery boy from New York. Usually, the dating processes are kept low-key. The couple does not share information about dating with anyone outside their immediate family and maybe close friends. Even after the couple becomes engaged, these things are kept very private. As I've said, it's a serious process, something personal for the couple. Hannah, however, did not follow the rules. She spoke to everyone and anyone about her impending engagement to the most wonderful man in the world. In shul on Shabbos, she'd sit in the row in front of me. Throughout davening, she wouldn't keep her mouth shut. She shared her stories with whoever was willing to listen, which was almost everyone around her. So, when he very abruptly ended things between them, no one was more shocked than she. She'd been absolutely positive that, before the year was up, she would be the wife of the mysterious New York Prince Charming. You can imagine my surprise when, almost 5 years later, he was offered to me as a shidduch. By then, I was ready to start looking. The life plan I had for myself was nowhere near achieved, but that didn't bother me. I had learned that life had to be taken one step at a time, without great expectations or grand gestures. Of course, none of that stayed the same once Aaron Harris came into my life. Okay, we're going to stop here for now, because the chapter is quite long and I want to break it up to, leave the suspense for the later videos. Okay, so questions, comments, anything, you know where to ask them. Don't forget to subscribe, please, and share it with your friends. If you'd like to order a copy of Shattered Illusions, it's available on BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com, and my website, where I sell signed copies. And Thanksgiving weekend, guys, keep this in mind. Thanksgiving weekend, we are releasing the Shattered Illusions store on my website. I just spoke to the people at Wix today to figure it out. I'm super excited. So it'll be easier for you guys to access the link to the signed copies, and I'm shipping everywhere in the world. So if you live in Australia, no problem. You live in New Zealand, no problem. You live down the street, no problem. And we're also maybe working on some swag, so like t-shirts and bookmarks and stuff. So that's in the works. Nothing set in stone yet, but definitely the store will be open Thanksgiving Day. Okay, everybody, have a great evening, night, morning, wherever you are, whatever you are.